Internet, this is Benedek here, very welcome to my channel. In today's episode we are going to deal with post-processing effects in Unity. Now, post-processing effects were there before Universal Render Pipeline, but actually then you had to use an additional package for that to achieve post-processing effects. So you had to use and install a package for that one. But now, if you use a Universal Render Pipeline, then in this case you can use post-processing effects in your project. Now, if you don't know, these effects are just for give your game a much cooler and stunning look and design, and you can achieve great results with it. Okay, so I have just created a simple project for you, and I've just grabbed a scene. So it is just from Unity Asset Store. It's a sample scene. It's actually the demo scene for this medieval town or village package. I don't remember the name actually, but I will drop the link of it to the description field of my video. Now let's get started. So this is the look of the game. You can see that here is my scene view, and if you go there you can see that this is how it looks. Okay, so first things first, what we need to do is we have to find our main camera. So this project was created without Universal Render Pipeline, and afterwards I've added URP to this project. So if you don't know how to use Universal Render Pipeline and how to add it to a project, then let's check out my previous video. I will drop a link to it to the description field. But now we need to, so I've just added manually Universal Render Pipeline to this project, and we are currently using it, but I have to enable post-processing effects at the main camera. So if you use the URP template to create a 3D project with the Universal Render Pipeline, then probably you should skip this step. But if you just created a 3D project and added URP there, then you would like to locate your main camera. Well, I cannot find it actually, so probably it's best way to just find it in the scene view, and after you can just grab it. Or if you cannot see it there, okay, I can see it now. Here, the little icon. So I just go to the move tool and I click it. Okay, here we go. It's under the system and it's called camera. Yes, I have already ticked this, but by default it was unticked. So you go under the camera component to the rendering section, and post-processing you make sure that it is ticked. So now it's enabled. Unless you do this, you won't see any results. Okay, now let's go back to the game view just to see what the main camera is rendering. Okay, and just right click there, create a new game object and rename it to like post-processing effects. And here what I would like to do is I would like to add the component which is called volume. So it's a post-processing volume. Okay, I just searched for it and added. Okay, now this volume has many different properties. So the mode one is for telling that these effects are only for a specific location of your scene, or these are meant to affect your whole scene. So this is the scope. You can set it to local and to global. If you set it to local, you can restrict to a little zone of your scene. But now I would like to just stick to this global one for the sake of simplicity. And this weight is just considered to be like an opacity or to a power, a strength. So this will tell Unity in how much you would like to apply those post-processing effects we are going to just add to the scene. Okay, by default I will let it at 1. And priority, now with this you can change the priority of your override components. We will add override sections there, and these overrides are just the actual effects, and this priority is telling Unity which one is the first. Okay, so by default here is an empty stuff called profile. Now a post-processing volume profile is just like a preset. Okay, so if I create very stunning post-processing effects for this particular scene, and then I create another scene in my game, and I would like to grab those properties there, I can just go and use the exact same post-processing volume, because this is just a preset which contains all of the settings for my post-processing effects. I will just add, and it's great because you don't have to copy paste your whole game object, because probably you would like to add more component, not just volume, or that is probably another option, that you would like to increase or decrease the weight to different scenes, or in a particular scene you would like to only have it global, or sorry, local, and in another you can have it global. Okay, so I would like to now add a new post-processing profile, and here it says it doesn't contain any overrides. So add an override, and you can see that there pop-ups the post-processing overrides, and here we go. These are the actual effects there, and let's just play around with it. So I really like the bloom one actually, and you have to hit that little all to enable it. So I mean enable all of the components of it, and you can just really play with it. You can increase the intensity, and you can see that it just applies very well to our scene, and you can play with the threshold as well, like that. And we can of course manipulate with the tint as well, so really just play around with it and see guys what you like. Okay, now I think that's great, so let's move on. What I would like to do? Yes, there is a very interesting thing I love very much. It's called Chromatic Aberration. It has a weird name, and it looks very, very interesting actually. Uh, just like a dream, or I don't know if someone is dizzy, or things like that. So it's really funny. Okay, and you can go for color adjustments. So for instance, here you can just desaturate the whole scene, or you can play around with the hue shift if you would like to. So I can just desaturate it, or I can just make the colors more intense, and I can just apply a hue shift if I want, but probably I don't wanna do that on, because that doesn't look very well. Okay, so let's say something like probably I will increase the intense of the colors and the contrast as well a little bit, only a little bit. Yes, okay. And the post exposure component is there, or section is there for add more brightness to the scene. Okay, let's see what else do we have. Well, there is something called lift, gamma, and gain. I love it very much, because you can basically play around with the look of this whole scene, and you can, it's something like the color shift, but it's just better, I guess. So I love it. Okay, probably I will go for this. Okay. So as you can see, guys, you can really just play around with it and give an extremely crazy look to your project with this. Okay, there is an interesting effect called depth of field. We can just try it out, how it looks. I will go for the Gaussian one, and I will increase the max radius just a little bit, and probably I will move this just to see how it looks. So it's kind of funny stuff. Okay, it's just like more blur, or sorry, yes, a little bit adjusting the bloom as well. Okay, so we can just try to add lens distortion. Lens distortion is just like curving the word. Of course, I know that if you would like to really curve the word, you should use shaders, particular custom shaders, or better VFX or PBR shader graphs. And we will talk about shader graphs probably in the next video, because I think that's just amazing that without writing a single line of code, you can really create your own custom shaders, and that's just amazing. Okay, but just now, for now, let's see the lens distortion. Oh, just there you can see I'm just curving the look of the game. And if I decrease the X multiplier or set it to 0, then it will be only curved on the Y component, of course. And if I go for zeroing out the Y component, it will curve only on the X-axis. Okay, but let's say I would like to curve it on both axes, like that. That looks really funny. And if I just disable all the game object, we can see that it was the original kind of bit boring and dull looking scene, and if I hit re-enable again, we can see that it's just looking amazing, or at least to my mind. Okay, now let's say something like, so let's add a vignette. Vignette is a very good component with which you can just make the edges of the scene dark, basically. So if I hit all and enable it, you can see if I increase the intensity, it's just turning dark. I'm in the edges of my scene. And of course you can take the rounded one, and now the edges are rounded. And of course you can play with the smoothness and also the color, so you can of course change the color, but I think it's great if you leave it at the black one. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we have. Probably we would like to use a pen in the projection, because that looks also great. Okay, so it is just like adding more curve to your project, or not curve, but it is just to, you can adjust the angle of your main camera with this any projection. I love that one as well. Okay, well, let's see what else do we have. Here we have something called film grain, and actually I think that's a great effect as well. You can of course adjust which one would you like to use. Well, I think the first one was the best one for me now, but you can really just play with it. And here we go. We have divide balance as well, so you can adjust the temperature of these colors. You can make the colors more like cold colors, and also you can just adjust the tint colors as well. Okay, probably it's a little bit better if you don't use white balance adjustment for now there. So I will remove that component as well. And probably we would like to just see the channel mixer, or okay, let's see. So you can just adjust the channels of these colors, and we can achieve quite interesting result, I would say. And now let's say we could add shadows, midtones, and highlights. So add them, and we can just use them as well. Well, I don't think I would use this scene in my game with these effects, but it's just for a demo to see how crazy stuff you can make with this post-processing effects. So if I turn that off, you can see that was our original input, and with these effects we could make that to look that crazy. So it's just amazing. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. And please share it with friends, and be safe out there. Bye.